Okay, I've made a registration helper, which hopefully will help a little bit. It's similar to Corsical. It's got a couple tricks that Corsical doesn't have. It's also not quite as user-friendly as Corsical, but for your workflow, it might work better. And so the way this thing is going to work, first of all, when you get the link, is that this is in view-only mode, which means you can't do anything to it. So what you're going to first need to do is go into your File menu and then go and make a copy. And then once you make that copy, you'll be able to edit that copy and do whatever you want to with it. Understand you can make as many copies as you want. So if you want to make a variety of different schedules, or if you're making one and then you screw it up or whatever, you can always go back to the original link, make another copy, and start over again, however you want to. So let's make a copy of this thing, and then we'll start to edit it, and I'll show you a couple tricks in using it. All right, so I've made my copy here, and now I can do whatever I want to with it. So the first thing you may want to do is go to the Read First little tab here, which give you kind of a rundown of how this whole thing is supposed to work. It's really not super hard, but I kind of tried to cover all the main issues that you'd have over here. So if you get stuck or whatever, jump over here and you can look through how this thing works. The interface on here is going to work right in the middle. So column G is where we're going to do all our work on this thing. And the first thing we're going to do is enter in our classes in the colored boxes. So the colored boxes represent the different classes that you want to deal with. So I've got room for 7 different classes. And I've got this special box down here we'll get to in just a second. So the way this thing works, and the way I would recommend using it, is using your graduation plan is go ahead and just begin by entering a course in here, and it's going to return the available sections for that course from the live schedule or a copy of the live schedule. You can see up here the last update, the date, March 13th, 9 a.m. That's when I last updated it. So every time I update the live schedule, it'll tell you what time and what day it was on here. And so that's where you can kind of see how recent this thing is. Once you enter a class in here, you can just select that class by putting an X in the corresponding column, hitting return, and then it's going to appear over here in your schedule. Now, one thing that's nice with the way this thing works is that if I get rid of this class and I want to start over again, it's going to remove that here from my list. If I want to just search by discipline, I can also do that. So I can just put in here, let's say I'm looking for public health classes, so PH. If I put that in here, it's going to return every public health class there is. Every class that has this prefix of public health, it's going to return that for me in this list of classes. So in here, again, the same thing, I can select a class and I'm ready to go. And it's going to add it to my list over here that we've got. When I'm ready to add another class, I can do one of two things. First of all, I'm going to type my class over here, but you can see this is where class 2 is located. I can either use it at the very bottom, I can scroll over here to class 2. Otherwise, I put a little shortcut in here. So if I click on class 2, it's going to run a script. You're just going to need your permission to run it. All it's going to do is move stuff around. So once we come into here, we're going to say yes. I want it to allow this to do what it's doing. And then once it does that, it's going to go ahead and move over for me. And so you only have to do that once. And once you've okayed that script, it'll work for any of these classes. So if I click on the class 3, it's going to go over here to class 3. Class 2 goes back to class 2. So you just need to do it the first time, and then you're good to go. Each copy you make, you'll need to do that. It's just Google's way of protecting, I guess, you from yourself. So if I'm ready to add another class over here, let's say I'm looking for a physics class. 1103. The way physics works, obviously, is that you have a lecture and then you have an associated lab section. So in this case, you need to select 2 classes. So let's say I go and I want to select this one, and I'm also going to select that one. And so it's going to add those to my list for me. So the little icon here means it's a lab. It also just says lab. Whatever the second classes that you pick is going to be thought of as a lab. And so that's the way it's designed to work. If you add a third class in here, it won't recognize it. It doesn't know what to do with that. It's only designed to pick up the first 2 X's you put in here. So make sure you only have a couple. Otherwise, it's not really doing anything with that last one. Let's go into class 3. Let's add an ES class. And I'm going to purposely pick a class that has a conflict so you can see how this works. So let's take a look at a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 10 o'clock class. So here's a class that's going to conflict with my public health class. So by default, it doesn't know that it's a conflict. So unlike Corsical, which grays out the classes that might conflict, this one is not smart enough to do that. What it will do is it'll tell you if a conflict occurs based upon a class that you pick. So I would go and undo this class here and then pick a different section. For example, this one. So that class is going to work for me. Notice on here then with the list, I've got the title of the class, the course, the section, the CRN is on here. So one thing you can do on here is if I want to search by a specific CRN, let's say a 13692 over here for class 4, that's this class. I'm just doing this for an example. If I go over to here, that is now the one in there. So you can search by CRN if that helps you. I'll just delete that because we don't care about that one right now. So you can build your class schedule using this. It'll kind of graphically tell you where those classes are located. If you scroll down to the bottom here, it'll give you just a list of what those classes are, including the CRN, where it's located, all that good stuff is going to be located in this very bottom. And you can pretty easily, if you want to copy this, you can just select it all, and you can highlight it and copy it and paste it, email it to yourself. You can do whatever you want to once you've got it in place. I want to show you how this bottom section works here, 48.2. If we go, oh, here's another trick on here that I kind of built in here. This is designed to kind of be pretty smart so that it kind of knows what you're looking for. If I'm looking for a specific instructor here, let's say I'm looking for a course by someone by the name of Zwetsloot, it returns all the Zwetsloot instructors. So Kevin and Jennifer, Dr. Kevin Zwetsloot and Dr. Jennifer Zwetsloot, they returns their courses over here for us. So that's kind of helpful too if you're looking for specific instructors for courses, it can do that. All right, let's go down to our special area. So this is specifically designed to kind of help you look for classes that either are you looking for in your major, like ES electives. So if I click this, it's going to return every single course that's being offered that's on that ES elective list on that ES general plan, if that's the one that you're on, which would be a lot of ES students. And so all of these are the ES elective options that are offered in this coming fall term. I can change it over to interdisciplinary studies. So this is that huge list of classes, genetics, microbiology, everything that would kind of fall into that category is listed down here. I don't know why that's already X'd. But then like the other classes, I can just add them by selecting the course, and it will put it in there as long as it fits for me. Okay, let's get rid of that for right now. And let me show you one other thing you can search for down here. So that's the major options. We'll come back to a little trick in there in a second too. You can also look for gen ed stuff. So if I'm looking for a literary studies course, this returns all the gen ed LS designated courses. And it will be everything that occurs both in the themes and also in the liberal studies experience, or the integrative learning experience in the liberal studies. So everything on here would be a class that's considered a liberal or a literary studies class. If I want to look for a literary studies class that's in a specific theme, I can find my theme here. Let's say this one. It's going to filter those two. So the only literary studies course that is in the Las Americas theme in the current fall term is going to be this class here. If I want to look in my liberal studies experience, I can do that too. There should be a lot more because that's that big chunk of classes. So you can use these tools independently. If I want to just get rid of literary studies and just bring all my liberal studies experiences, so everything in that bottom area, regardless of designator, I can do that. Same thing with my themes. I can just pick a theme down here as well and say, well, I want to see all my experience and inquiries classes. There they are. Okay, so that's one way you can use this tool down here. Another thing I built in here then is that if you want to make a custom list of courses you're looking for, here in the majors tab at the very bottom, I can build a custom list. And so these are right now my choices that occur for ES electives, interdisciplinary studies. I put some CSD electives and social work electives in here. If I want to put in other courses, let's say I'm looking for public health 2000 and public health 2200, and maybe I'm also looking for healthcare management 3130, I think that's a class. Those options I can then reference, by going into my major and then select custom. And now if those courses exist, so there's public health 2000, 2200, it gives me everything on there. And I can also use this to select courses, or I can use this to kind of just as a basic lookup and then feed those courses into my class options over here. So it's just another kind of robust way to kind of look up different classes that are available however you want to. So give it a shot, play with it if you want to. It's still pretty rough. It works pretty well. It's easy for me to use because I made it, but if it helps you kind of select your classes and set things up for your fall term, that's great. It's only set up for fall. It doesn't have any summer classes on here, so you have to do that independently. But like I said, you can make multiple copies of this and make multiple kind of custom schedules. And then as the schedule updates, I'll update this as well, and this will automatically be updated every time I pull a new version of the schedule. So yeah, go ahead and have fun with it. If you've got some questions, first just check the read first here. I think this kind of runs through basic things on here. If you just don't like using it, don't use it. That's fine. You're not going to hurt my feelings, but it might help you kind of get just some stuff set up for the fall term. All right.